All right, take two. I'm with Bucky right here. Bucky, what's your name? Let's just say Bucky.
Bucky.
Okay, Bucky is old enough to be my son. We're here to talk about art and generations because I'm trying to find my audience with my artwork. And Bucky loves my stuff. He probably owns more of my artwork than anybody. And just so I show you what this is about, there's a skateboard I did last week, a xenomorph and a skull, which will probably end up in his house eventually anyway. So Bucky, tell me about what you like culturally, artistic-wise. Where are you at?
It's more out there. There's not a lot of art that I enjoy because it all just seems too similar in the fact that they're aiming to hit the same. Everybody's hitting the same audience of, I don't care what my audience is, I just know people like my work. So there's no real target to who the art is for. Your art is yours, and it just happens to also be the same style that I find joy looking at.
What would you say is your... What do you like?
More of the older Renaissance style paintings always were a favorite, and then they're always just kind of chaotic. It's never like... The Mona Lisa is a classic, but I don't like the Mona Lisa just because it's a Renaissance painting. I like the ones where it's like a random guy getting stabbed, and then there's like a lady holding a baby, and then a dog in the corner. There's no sense or rhythm to it. It's just, this is a scene that I'm painting.
Okay. It's
just what the artist saw and wanted to put it down.
We were talking off camera about, you said you were an old soul.
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe to me what that means?
It's more of, I enjoy modern things, but I get just as much joy, if not a little more, out of the things I never got to experience in person when they were happening. The cars from the 60s to 80s, I can experience now, but not when they're new. I don't get to enjoy them fresh off the dealer lot, because now to get that quality, I'd have to spend tens and tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that. When they were new, you could go out and buy a brand new Charger for $3,500. I can't do that now.
So you don't find modern design to be desirable? How would you describe modern design? Even you work with cars. How would you describe the modern age of car design?
They're all too similar. Everybody's trying to do the same thing, and the sweeping body lines look good. They're not what I personally like. I like the bigger, bubblier cars with the weird fins and the headlights that stick out and fold and pop up. And
so why was it back in the 50s and 60s that there was more design, more expression, creativity? What happened to that?
You notice that they used to have crazier paint jobs too. It like plum crazy purple Chargers and the weird Ford blues and lime. You don't see lime green cars anymore, hardly ever. And now all you get are the same 3 shades of blue, every shade of gray under the sun, white, black. They look good. They blend in too easy. Nothing stands out.
Is it economics? It's just easier to make cookie cutter cars?
Yeah.
Well, I did a blurb on this about AI art and how much I hate AI art and how similar it is to all other art. And there's no imagination, no creativity to that whatsoever. And I don't know if you're familiar with what AI art looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It still looks like plastic. There's no life, no humanity to it. I hate to say that, but I agree that some of what's going on these days isn't very, very good. But am I just being that old duffer guy? You know, the guy on the lawn saying, "Get off my lawn, you kids." You know, am I showing my age here or what?
From the art standpoint, I don't think AI art is that awesome. From the modernizing technology and seeing what people can get computers to do, I think it's a huge advancement and it's kind of cool. the art itself isn't that great, and it takes forever, and everybody's charging you money to try and get it. And
But my problem is they sampled other real people and make it into their own. And I just don't think there's anything. To me, art has to have a humanity to it. It has to have a life, a person. Somebody out doing the work, not somebody just punching buttons, keys on a keyboard, and saying, "Let's take 10,000 people's work and see if we can conglomerate into one image." It's just kind of funny. I posted something about this recently, and some guy posted this gigantic diatribe on how wrong I was about this. Because AI is in the automotive industry now, and it's here and it's there and it's there, and you're just never going to go away. I understand, because part of the problem I have is horse and buggy thinking. Because with my thinking, we never would have cars these days, because you can't put the horse and buggy guys out of work, because that worked. But we did put horse and buggy guys out of work. And then we put robots into auto factories, and people complained about that too. Well, people would never go back to making cars the same way again. But they found new jobs to go around this. Am I just being that old duffer, and I should just accept AI art? Should I? Or is it better that I spend 2 hours scratching this thing out with a pen and paper? I mean, this thing has some humanity to it. I mean, my blood and my sweat and my tears didn't really go into it. But what I'm saying? I just think that things nowadays, even in movies, are just so plastic and so similar. You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah, it's more of the way I think about it, everybody wants everything now. So instead of commissioning an artist to paint you something or digitally create it, it's easier to just go in and spend $6 getting an AI art generator to work through exactly what you want and finding something that might not be perfect, but it's good enough in your brain because you can get it right now. I don't have to wait 2 months for you to paint me what would probably be better when I could go online and just, with a couple clicks of a button, get it right now.
I kind of wonder if Leonardo da Vinci DiCaprio, when he painted Mona Lisa, if he had available to him AI tools, would have used it. I mean, he's a product of his time. Back in those days, you had to crush your own paints. I mean, the material to make paint. You had to make your own brushes out of, horse hair, dog hair. I mean, they just didn't have to make this stuff. The paintings, they had to make the stuff to make the paintings. I don't know how that ever worked. But now maybe he would have used it. Are we just too old in our souls? Or we should just accept the bandwagon of new modern times?
I don't think that artists really use the AI art, though. It's just, it's
Well, of course not, because they're being ripped off and stolen from.
It's just people wanting to see it are doing it. Artists aren't using AI art to make something, claiming it as their own, and then putting it out there with their name on it. It's my AI art generator can do this stuff.
For marketing. It's all for sales.
Yeah.
Sales. Why hire some kid who spent 2 years going to graphic design school? And that's what really kind of pisses me off, because I went to art school, and even back in those days, I knew I'd never find a job in art, and now we have this, and why even try? Like I've said this in another blog I did, that whenever I see a high school kid who wants to go into art or graphic design, I always discourage them from going, because even back in the days when I was doing it, there was no jobs in it, and now there's going to be even less. But here I am again, the horse and buggy thinking, maybe AI will give them a better job. I just don't know what that better job is going to be. I mean, what would you think if because Bucky's a mechanic here, if I hired a robot to come in and do your job, or parts of it at least? They probably do have robots that do that part of it, don't they? Well, the diagnostic part. I mean,
the diagnostic part, yeah. But computers made diagnosing cars most of the time way easier, because instead of having to use 400 different tools to go in and test every individual part, you can just plug the computer into the car and it'll tell you a general idea of what the car knows is wrong with itself, and then from there you can break it off and diagnose it from there.
Let's say you had a 57 Chevy, or one of your other favorite tell me one of your favorite cars from the 60s or 70s or even 50s.
I had a 1973 diesel Mercedes-Benz sedan.
Okay, let's say, and I doubt that comes to the portal.
No.
You need to diagnose it. What are you going to do?
You break down in your head whether it's air, fuel, combustion.
But there's a certain kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? When you have the old stuff, what's that word?
You go through like a navigational tree. You start here and you break it down to one of these categories, and then you figure out which one of those categories it's in, and then you can start diagnosing the different parts in that system to figure out which part of it isn't working.
But I found the word romanticism. People find old things romantic, and they love it. Now, then people will take those cars, and the people who own those cars don't know how to tear them apart. Let's say you got some young guy like you. I mean, they even teach you how to fix those older cars anymore?
Not really. Not really. When I went to college, if you wanted to learn how to work on carburetors, there was an after-school night class that if enough people signed up for, they'd teach you how to go through a carburetor and what everything did specifically in it and how to change ports and rebuild one with new gaskets. And
so if you want to own an antique car, you better know how to fix it yourself.
Yeah.
And anything over 25 years, right? That's antique. I think
classic. Anything over 50 is an antique.
Okay. So, I don't know what else to say about this stuff. I don't know. I'm trying to connect, and I'm frustrated, and I think we're probably all frustrated. I'm trying to find my audience, and I'm having a hard time doing it. And I don't know what to say, Bucky. What do you think? I think everybody should have a skateboard that was painted by a human being, not some robo thing. Or what's that stuff now? They have printing. You can do 3D printing. I'm that old guy who tells the kids to get off my lawn. I just know it. I'm that guy now because I'm old. I am old. So let's wrap this thing up, Bucky. I do appreciate you coming over and chatting with me. Maybe if this thing blows up, we'll do this again.